thought I would pick up where we left off on the last video, which was music theory related to how to build chords. And just to clarify, we learned chords just memorizing where to put the fingers, a lot of them, and you know them. And then we learned patterns like bar chord patterns, which is the same thing. It's just learning where to put your fingers. And this is a C major 7, this is a D major or B major 7, major, minor, all of that. In two different patterns we did learn the bar chords. But last week I spent a little time talking about the theory of how and why chords are made up the way they are. And I don't know how much clarity that you have with that or how clear it was, but I'm asking you this week to kind of do a recital for me, so to speak. In other words, I need to see how you're doing. So I'd like you to make a video and just send me just a review of everything we've done. And some of the songs, you could do those and just show me how much you have down of the various songs. We did Amazing Grace, we did American Pie, we did Take It Easy, and then we did the David Gilmour, Wish You Were Here. We did a little bit of Stairway to Heaven. We did a little beginning bit of Sweet Home Alabama. So any and all of those, just show me how you're doing with it and what problems you're having, and then give me a review of the different chords and the bar chord patterns. Just run through those. That would be great. And you can send it to me any way you want. It doesn't have to be smooth and edited. Just give me something, because I need to just see how you're doing. And then the other part of it is, it's always good to kind of gear up to playing for someone else. You know, you can learn a lot of things in the privacy of your house, but it really doesn't become like you're doing anything until you're playing it for somebody else. So this will be good practice for that. So last week I did introduce a little theory, and just to review a little bit of that, we had learned a scale, and last week I said let's number each of those notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because we're going to go further and use them. And when you use numbers, you apply it to any chord or key you're in. So we're establishing a basic rule that we know this is a C chord, because you've learned it. I think you knew it before you even started taking lessons from me. But why is that a C chord? Any major chord is made up of the first, third, and fifth, and that's what I went over last week. So if we number these scale tones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and we know the chord is made up of 1, 3, and 5. Now remember, a scale is played one note at a time, and a chord is played 3 or more notes played together. 1, so that note is in the chord. 2, 3, that note is in the chord. 4, 5, that note is in the chord, because it's 1, 3, 5. Again, deriving it from the scale that we already know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But to again establish a rule, we're using numbers. This would work in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 make up a D chord, but we're going to go back to C right now. So 1, 3, 5. Now this note in the scale, I'm going to play on the open D string, because I have to play it together with the other notes. And if they're on the same string, I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, so that in itself is a C chord. Now it's just the first 3 strings of the C chord that we know, that we learned. So what are the other notes? They're the same notes, just repeated. So we know this is, what does that sound like? A 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Again, we're taking this one, putting it there. So we have And then we have that. That's also 1, 2, 3. That's a third as well. So the arrangement, the particular arrangement of the notes within the chord will depend on just how you finger it. And there's different fingering patterns for chords. We learned the bar chords. And so the 1, the 3, and the 5 will occur at different places within those fingerings. But that's okay. It's still a C chord, whether I play it here, or whether I play it here, or whether I play it here. The arrangement of the 1, the 3, the 5 will be, maybe this one is 1, 5, 1, 3. In this one, 1, 5, 1, 3. This is 1, 3, 5, 1, and then 3 again. So that may seem confusing, but it isn't if you realize, again, that everything in a major chord is just 3 notes, and we get those from the scale tones that we number, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale, that is the major scale. And if we take the individual notes, the first, third, and fifth, and we can arrange them any different way and come up with the chord that is the same letter name as that scale. This is a C scale, so that's a C chord. Alright, so I think that's as clear as I can make it. Use the other resources I sent you. Maybe those will click a little better, and that's fine. It's always good if you have multiple sources kind of saying the same thing in a little different way, and they visualize it differently. But it's all very important building blocks of music theory, which will really help you on guitar. That was last week. The second part I'm going to go into, we focused first of all on only 2 different chords. One was a major chord and one was a minor chord. And the first, third, and fifth, as I just said, is the major chord. And if you remember, if we take the first excuse me, flat third and the fifth, we now have a minor chord. So the only difference between a major chord, here's D, in this particular fingering of the D chord, this is the first, this is the third, and that's the fifth. I started to show it to you, and then I watched the video and didn't think I did a very good job. So, but again, start the scale and do your do, re, mi to get the scale tones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this 5, we could play the D chord like this, but it's really repeating 2 notes. So I'm going to move this 5 down to there. And that's the D chord that we are aware of, that everybody learns. First, third, fifth, and then the root is the 1 again. So if we flat the third, I'm just moving it down 1 fret or a half a step. There's my D minor. So we knew the D minor chord, but now we know the rule as to why. There's an E chord that we all know and love. It's a 6-string chord, but there's still only 3 notes. There's 3 ones, or the roots. 1 is the same as a root. And then there's the 5. There's 2 of those. And then there's 1, 3. E, F sharp, G sharp. We haven't learned what keys have sharps and flats in them yet, but just take it by faith. In an E chord, there's an F sharp and a G sharp. So there's your G sharp as the third. E, F, G. 1, 2, 3. So to make an E minor, I take that third, lower it a half a step, and I have an E minor. That's where that comes from. Okay, so that's major and minor. We've learned the theory behind how those chords are made from the scale tones. Next step I'm going to go into is, how do I know what chords make up a song? Or how do I know what chords will fit in any particular key? Last week we used the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In specific, we used the 1, 3, and 5 to designate the number of the actual note that make up the chord, either a major or a minor. And again, we used the first, third, and fifth for a major and the first flat third for a minor. Now we're going to use numbers again, but we're not going to refer to the notes with the numbers. We're actually going to refer to the chords which are built from those notes, either major or minor chords. And we're going to refer to them as chords within the key. And I hope this becomes clear and not confusing because we're moving kind of fast. But when we're talking in a minute about 1, 4, 5, and 6, we're talking about chords. We're going to be talking about a 1 chord or a 6 chord. And hopefully that will become clear as I get into explaining it. Right now I'm going to tell you something, and then later we'll figure out why and how we got there. But right now I just want you to learn this as a matter of memorizing it. I'm going to show you this little chart, and it shows you what types of chords are built off of every scale tone. And that sounds complicated, but it's not. So the rule is to stay within the key, or to find what chords work in any particular key. You can use the first, fourth, and fifth chords as majors, and the second, third, and sixth as minors. And again, just take my word for it. There's the little chart. It will show you the scale degrees. Now we use Roman numerals, that's what they do. The large Roman numerals indicate major, and you can see the first, fourth, and fifth are major, and the second, third, and sixth are little Roman numerals, and they're minor. Again, just take it my word for it right now. The keys, I show examples of that in the particular keys. And this is why we use numbers, because the system is transferable to any key. But if you look at, say, the D key, the first would be a D major chord. The fifth, D, E, F, G, A, is an A major. The fourth is a G major. The second is an E minor. And why is this important? It is, just trust me. We're going to get into why in just a minute. But once you have that down, and I'm not thinking you're going to have it down by just one pass. We're going to have to keep reviewing this and look at other resources like I told you, because there's people that will explain it much better than me, and they're out there. So go ahead and look at some of those links. And that Sahir Galt was pretty good. He has a lot of stuff that's good.